Hey everyone, this is the Tarot Counselor. We are doing another tarot card reading. If you would like to have your tarot cards read, see the links below in the video, or check out my Instagram at tarot.counselor to see how you can have a tarot card reading for yourself or your situation. Today we are doing a tarot card reading for a woman who's asked about a situation with an ex-boyfriend. And so you can see here on the cards, we have on the left side in the center, you can see the tower, and that's where we're going to start. That's the current situation we're dealing with. The tower is all about an attachment to something where it all crumbles down. So you feel like you literally have the rug pulled out from under you. So I know this situation does, since it is an ex-boyfriend, deals with a betrayal that led to the end of the relationship, and that's kind of what this card says we're dealing with, is this attachment that you had, this belief in this relationship where you put everything you had into it, all of your hopes, dreams, and fears into it, and then all of a sudden, like the rug gets pulled out from underneath you, it crumbles down unexpectedly, and with great disappointment. Acting upon the situation is the Ten of Swords. So the Ten of Swords is literally, it's kind of it looks like a super bad card. It really does signify that, yes, there's lots of conflict, lots of stuff going on. But you can see beyond all the swords, it's like the situation is as dead as it could possibly get. So, the worst is completely happened. You can even see the sun rising in the distance with the lighter color. So that signifies the situation. It acknowledges this has been a really bad situation, but it's as bad as it's going to get. So there's some hope in the future that it could get better. But this is, we have reached the climax of the worst part of the situation. Having that cross the tower goes back to, again, that betrayal, to say, obviously, two of them going together, it signifies that this was a terrible and traumatic situation for you, where you absolutely felt betrayed, and it caused you lots of stress and distress and conflict, as to be expected. The card below that, which is kind of your subconscious self, this is the Ten of Wands. So this says this is literally, you can see someone carrying a huge bundle. It's literally caused a significant weight for you. You're feeling your spirit, since wands are dealing more with your spirit is absolutely weighed down with this burden. So you felt like, even though you are you are not at fault of this situation and someone else betrayed you, and you feel it's like a heavy burden, that you are carrying the burden of the situation that occurred, even though it happened to you and it's not necessarily your fault. You've been carrying this heavy burden with you. The card above that at the top, this is the Eight of Cups. The Eight of Cups signifies, you kind of leaving and kind of trying to go on this spiritual journey, this quest to say, well, because this terrible situation happened to me, the outward reflection is like, this has caused more of a self, or a searching among yourself, more than just, the breakup of the relationship. You're almost doing like a soul searching. Like, it's been that devastating to you that you're starting to almost kind of question many other things in your life, to say, okay, well, what am I even doing? What do I even want? It's this heading towards, you can see the individual is walking away towards the water, which is related to your emotions, and the moon is related to your subconscious. So it's almost a desire to almost go off and explore other things that will kind of bring you more spiritual value, to say, I've had all this bad stuff going on, so how do I go off and find something, find some extra meaning in life, almost like a hero's journey, to try to go off and find what their purpose is, what they're meant to do here, and given that all the conflict and problems, what they should be doing from now on. The card on the far left, this is the Hierophant. So the location of this card suggests that this is the energy that came before the situation that we were working with. So this says the recent energy leading up to the betrayal. So the Hierophant has to deal with any kind of organization that you're in. They all have kind of their own, social code or social rules, or ways of behavior, ways they expect people conform, whether that's you're in a specific, church group, or even your parents. Every parents have their own set of rules in the house. or even any sports teams, or even friends and cliques. They kind of expect you to behave one way, and if you show interest in something that's outside of what that group mentality thinks or believes, then obviously they're going to challenge you or try to shame you to conform to what the group thinks is the way you should behave. So what this to me suggests is, as a something that led into this situation or this betrayal, there is something, because I was one of the specific questions is, what does this individual need to know about their ex, and then her love life in this situation. So to me, this says one of the things that caused this betrayal or this situation is not necessarily, I wouldn't say other, but it's like the Hierophant really represents peer pressure because of all those specific rules. So whether this individual felt, because of the group they're hanging out with, or the circle that they're running with, and whether they expect him to be, Mr. Man or Mr. Smooth or whatever the case may be, or expect him to be with a certain type of person versus someone else, to say, oh, let's pretend it's a sports team. If we're on the football team, we date cheerleaders. We don't date people who do plays and drama club or anything like that. That's kind of like the unwritten expectations that you get from any group that you join. So this would suggest that something related to that individual of peer pressure. So it may not have been necessarily him on his own, but feeling like he need to act or behave in a way that the social circle that he was in would expect him to, kind of led to cause that betrayal. Whether that's, oh, you are this type of person, or you are hanging out with us and this person who he betrayed you with. You are the type of person, you should be the one to date this other woman. Because that's just kind of what we do, or that's what we expect of you based on how you relate to the group. The one on the far right, which is like the energy coming in the next next few months and something like that, the future energy into this situation. So this is the Two of Pentacles. You can see it literally looks like a juggler. So this individual is literally kind of juggling, and I view a lot of pentacles, especially with relationships, to be more of like your personal mental health. And so obviously, swords relating to the communication and conflict, and cups relating to your emotions, wands relating to your spirit. The pentacles relate with your emotional health. So I can see, to the left of the juggler, you can see all this negativity between the Tower, the Ten of Swords, and the Ten of Wands, and then all the rules, the peer pressure, the Hierophant, and then we'll kind of go towards the future on the other side. It's this juggling of, obviously, you wouldn't be asking about the situation if you still didn't have feelings for the individual, which is totally expected, because the Tower says that you were still just as committed or interested in the relationship yourself. You really expected it to go on, but you feel like it was taken away from you. That's what the feeling of having the rug pulled out from under you. And so what the Two of Pentacles says, you're going to be juggling those mental health emotions. Do I, move forward and kind of give myself a mental health break and, put this really negative situation behind me? Or do I, entertain trying to make amends or trying to have something else in this relationship? But it would, might have an impact on your mental health, because you're putting yourself back into what was obviously a very um, heavy situation, lots of negativity, lots of emotional burden and emotional pain. So I think that's what it says for the upcoming future for you, is you need to juggle your mental health with what you think or expect you may want to get out of the situation. Um, the next one on the far right, these are the 4 cards that make up the wand part of the Celtic cross. On the very bottom, you can see the 4 of Cups there. The location of this card represents you right now, the energy that's coming towards you. So the 4 of Cups, you can see it's an individual sitting under a tree, but they're kind of, it's really a card about frustration. So you are in the situation where you may have some emotional support or the love of your friends or family, but you can see that hand coming out of the cloud with another cup. You are thinking about something else, or you're frustrated. You want something else. You want something more. The 4 of Cups to me always does relate back to the 8 of Cups, as you see from the card above, the person seeking on, because once you get this stirring of this emotional frustration of like wanting, or being frustrated with where you are currently does kind of lead to the Eight of Cups situation where you are outwardly kind of searching for more meaning, searching for something that'll bring you more emotional um, positivity into your life. The card directly above that, this is the Two of Cups, so this is your current environment. And of course, this being another two relates back to the juggler. This would suggest that the environment that you're in right now could lead you to the opportunity of meeting someone else or engaging in other activities that will bring you some positive emotional energy. So this isn't like the Lover's card. This is kind of like a smaller version of the Lover's card, where it's not all the way to, you're going to fall in love with somebody or something like that, but this says, there'll be some kind of spark or some kind of connections that you're going to discover either to another individual. It's like, oh, because of this negative situation, maybe you're hanging out with different people than you did before, or spending your time differently than you did, and you're going to say, oh, I really like hanging out with this specific individual or this group, and it really brings me feel, gives me a positive boost. So the environment around you, even though you're emotionally frustrated, is going to provide you with an opportunity to gain some emotional positivity, and that's something you want to pay attention to. The next card, which is the hopes, dreams, or fears related to this situation, and this is the Fool. So this is the third major arcana card in this reading, and what it suggests is subconsciously, like you, again, it relates back to the juggler, is what you really are almost craving in this situation is like a clean start, a fresh start. Even though you have all this attachment back to that relationship, it's weighing on you and your emotional health to even be thinking about it, being consumed by it, going through your time. And so in some ways, almost a totally clean, fresh start would be great. So the Fool is obviously one part of the major arcana, someone who's just starting out on a new adventure. So the world is their oyster. They're packing light. You can see they're not really carrying anything with them. So they are on the beginning of the start of a great adventure, wide open to all the experiences, and just literally free from any burdens or anything like that because they're just getting started on their adventure. So this is kind of the two things you need to juggle. Is one, you can try to see and weigh what you have with all that previous relationship and all the negativity that's going to put you back into, or you can kind of see and follow this Two of Cups emotional stuff, where you feel this positivity, and see if there is this new adventure or this new new calling for you, a fresh start really for you, that you could have. Now the card above that, the top, this is the Knight of Wands, and this is a potential, a future outcome of this situation. So the Knight of Wands deals with communication, so there would be some messages coming in, but you can see instead of heading forwards to the right side, he's kind of heading backwards to the left side, and since he's a wand card, he's going to relate back to the Ten of Wands there at the bottom with that heavy burden. So it does say that there could be some communication between you and this individual who betrayed you, but that may obviously reopen all that heavy burden that you have, that you've been feeling and carrying with you. So I think one thing people need to experience is obviously when a tough relationship and is taken from you or betrays you in that way, you still have naturally all that attachment back to the positive things of that relationship. You don't necessarily focus on the negative ones because you don't necessarily miss them. But then once you feel like you'd long to communicate with that person, and once you do, you realize that it kind of opens up the door again to all the baggage and all the burden that you felt and all the conflict that you had comes spilling out again. And sometimes that's what we need to experience to really figure out, oh, maybe this isn't a door I want to reopen because it comes with all this extra burden that's been weighing on my spirit. And while I've been away from it and going back and engaging in other activities, your spirit can kind of be a little bit lighter. You've been working on yourself, working on your emotions, your own mental health, and to almost like entertain that again, you can feel the burden that it kind of brings back and brings back all that negative energy. So that may be something you can see that there is a possibility that that's going to occur. But as the juggler, being a key thing is kind of saying, well, you're going to have to make the choice whether you want to allow that energy to come in, which would then bring back all this negativity over again, Um, or if you want to stay focused and have a fresh, clean start dealing with the Fool and leave that all behind you, and really focus on that. I think what the cards are telling me is if you choose to go with a fresh start, it's obviously going to be better for your mental health and your emotions going forward, because it'll be more positivity versus if you entertain the re-engaging and all that negativity. It brings back all this baggage, all the hurt, and all the negative energy. So I think for that, one thing I would really look at for this is, the Tower suggests, being one of the major arcana cards and one of the main parts of this reading, is it's our attachment to something or an ideal that we put out there, that we feel we put, like, you put all of your eggs in one basket into this one thing. And obviously, if you do that for things on the human plane, you can get disappointed, right? If you put all of your eggs in one basket on a specific job or a specific city or location or one specific relationship, there's a chance that that's going to disappoint you. So I think you need to, like, go back and really take a look at what are the things that you believe you would want to be with this individual again, despite the betrayal. Because on the surface, I think you're probably getting this information from all your friends and supporters saying, well, if he did this to you, why is this someone you'd want to be with? When it seems like, everyone deserves someone who wants to be with them, wants to support them. So obviously, I would trust your gut feeling and how your energy feels. So if you are constantly thinking about it or even talking about it, or even as you start to engage with it, it brings back all this negative emotions and negative energy, really think about that, write that down, what you're doing when that occurs, versus what are the activities that you're doing that bring you a positive boost in energy to say, oh, well, when I was doing something new or entertaining this new fresh start, I was getting a positive boost of energy because I was doing XYZ, and it was making me feel good about myself. So I think that's what kind of the Tower says, is you put all of your hopes into something that might have been destined to fail, or might disappoint you, because obviously that can happen in life. So for your own mental health, you're gonna have to make a choice between what are the things that really draw you to that, despite that all that negativity. So obviously, if you were starting over and that you didn't know anything about this relationship, and you said, hey, do you want to be in a relationship with someone who might not treat you the way you should be, or who might betray you with someone else, you would obviously say, well, that's not the right relationship for me, I wouldn't choose that for me. So knowing that if it was a fresh start and you knew this ahead of time, you might not choose that relationship. What are the things that you believe to be true about this individual, about the relationship that you had, that makes you think that that would overcome the negativity of all that betrayal, all that negative energy, all the hurt, all the heavy burden, and really see, are those really the right reasons that you would want to be in a relationship for, or are they some other reasons? Again, relating almost to the hero fan, are they things related to status? So this individual was one of the cool people. This individual was, part of this one specific group that I thought was great to be with, because I think part of tarot is to lead you on your best path, and that generally wouldn't be to put yourself in a situation and be around people that aren't going to treat you the right way. So I think those are kind of the major key issues for this. It definitely says you've gone through a very hard time. You're carrying this very heavy burden over this relationship and this betrayal. You have a choice, really, for your own mental health. You're kind of juggling what you should do, whether it's have a fresh, clean start, or entertain, re-engaging in that situation, which does come with lots of negativity, or all this pain that you've been experiencing with it. Or if you really focus on your emotions, because there's so many cups cards here, you can really have that fresh start and really get past this emotional frustration that you're feeling right now, and kind of seek out this new path to find things, on this kind of spiritual journey, or this new questioning. What are the other things you're interested in that may trigger some positive emotions for you? And then you could follow that path of, I'm just going to follow things that make me feel good, things that build me up, and things that support me, and then be open to where that leads. It may not lead you to where you expect it to be, or where you would want it to be, but it may lead you to where you need to be because you're following this path of positivity and support versus almost trying to force or will you way to make a situation that is very negative and has caused you lots of pain and try to say, I'm going to go back and make that all fixed. I want that to be fixed. I want everything to be put back in order when it really hasn't been as of right now. So I think hopefully that's the most helpful advice that I can give you from this current situation. Like I said, if you're interested, like, share, comment. If you're interested in your own reading, click on the links below or check out my Instagram page.